Gang, this was a potentially disastrous game today, which honestly, I give the Indiana Fever credit for a 21-point swing where they came back and defeated the lowly Connecticut Sun 99-93 in overtime. But it didn't look good for a lot of the game, okay? Things just weren't clicking in the first half. They were down by double digits, the Fever, and I'm watching this thinking to myself, holy crap, we are going to play down to another bad team's level here, okay? But at the end of the day, when the second half came around, they did something that we've been talking about all year long. They did not collapse, okay? They did not collapse and fold. Instead, they turned it on and pulled this game out. And they showed, again, great resilience. This was the tale of the guards today, okay? Kelsey Mitchell certainly wasn't hitting at the beginning of the game, but she came through in the second half of the game, okay? And let's look at some stats before I go any further into this. Aaliyah Boston played 36 minutes. She had 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 14 points. Another double-double. Sophie Cunningham, 10 minutes. 1 rebound, no assists, no points. Now, let me interject something right here. This has been a mighty disastrous season. We've lost Caitlyn Clark for most of it, and then we lost her backup, Sydney Colson, for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. And, potentially that could be the end of Sydney Colson's career. We don't know yet. And we then lost Ari McDonald, another backup guard, for the rest of the season with a broken bone in her foot. And today what happens? Sophie Cunningham is injured. She's only played 10 minutes. They ruled her out for the rest of the game. She injured her knee when one of the players from the Connecticut Sun fell on top of her in rather an awkward position. And we do not know the extent of the injury because she has not seen doctors yet, and we won't know until she does. So Sophie Cunningham was not available beyond the first 10 minutes that she played today, which made their turnaround even more impressive, okay? Natasha Howard, 25 minutes, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 18 points. Kelsey Mitchell, 40 minutes. She was forced into extra duty. 1 rebound, 6 assists, 38 points. She turned it on when it mattered. And then Odyssey Sims. The other night, one of the other talking heads, the headline across their screen was, Indiana Fever replaced Caitlyn Clark with the worst guard in the league. You want to know what Odyssey Sims' numbers were today? This is only her 3rd game with the team, by the way. 42 minutes, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, and 19 points. Hardly the worst guard in the league. Lexi Hull, 37 minutes, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 8 points. And beyond that, the rest of the time was just fill-in time, okay? Bodies on the court to give other people rests. Damaris Dantas, 8 minutes, 1 rebound. Chloe Bibby, 7 minutes, 1 rebound. Michaela Timpson, 6 minutes, 2 points. Brianna Turner, 14 minutes, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Kyra Lambert was straight zeros across the board. She did not play. So that's the tale of the numbers. They win 99-93 in overtime, and now they go into a break. They don't play again until the 22nd. Okay, and then there's another game on the 24th. And then there's another game on the 26th. The buzz around is that that's the new projected return date for Caitlyn Clark, because the goal is to try to get her back into practice with her team while they're on this break. And they want her to have a certain number of practices under her belt before she gets into a real game. So this is the first road game that Caitlyn Clark was not there for. She was not present in Connecticut with the team today. And the reason she was not with the team today was because she was back in Indiana rehabbing. So, For all of those people out there who are constantly just saying she needs to sit it out and teach the team a lesson, blah, 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 blah. You know what, guys? I hate to say this, but it's getting annoying, frankly, because that might be the way you think as fans, but that's kind of disrespecting Caitlyn Clark because that is not the way she thinks, okay? She has never wanted to play anywhere but in Indiana. From the time she was recognized as being the #1 pick, it was always Indiana. She's a Midwest girl. That's where she wants to be, okay? She is loyal to her teammates. She is loyal to her team, okay? And this is the kind of stuff that makes me wonder just what it is that people don't understand about athletes. They don't think like fans. And this is why Caitlyn Clark stays off of social media. She doesn't want to be on social media because Caitlyn Clark, at the end of the day, has stated she doesn't care what people think of her. She doesn't care about all the negativity because she finds her strength from inside herself. She doesn't, and she said, of course, my teammates and my coaches. But as far as all of the chatter out there from all of us, that's not where she gets her strength from. She gets that from inside. So let's talk about what Sophie Cunningham revealed about Caitlyn Clark, okay? I'm going to read this quote to you. She was interviewed on a podcast just on the 15th of this month, 2 days ago. And this is what she said about Caitlyn Clark. And I will put this article in the description of the video. This is what she said about Caitlyn Clark. The way she thinks, she's different. She's a different breed, man. Like she is a squirrel brain to the max. But when she dials in, it's a different level. And the way that she works out, she's a perfectionist. It's inspiring, right? Like she's in the gym regardless of what's going on. She's been injured a lot this year, but the way she's in there 8, 9+ hours a day trying to rehab, trying to be better, like a lot of people in her position, especially that young, not really knowing the league and having that experience, they wouldn't be doing what she's doing, but she's invested. And I think that's the difference between Caitlyn Clark and maybe a lot of other players in this league. She's invested. She has said from the beginning, she sees it as her responsibility to give the people something to cheer about. She sees it as a responsibility to help grow the league. She sees it as a responsibility to help her team win. So instead of tearing all of that down, why aren't we celebrating that? What is it about the human individual who is an observer that makes it a requirement to ask Caitlyn Clark to do exactly the opposite of who she is as a person? I'm curious about all of that because she certainly does not see the Indiana Fever the way you do. She certainly doesn't view her teammates the way you do. And that's why I say I think a lot of what I see and a lot of what I read coming out of the mouths of the people who make comments are influenced by the talking heads who are constantly putting clickbait headlines in there about all of these perceived problems in the Indiana Fever. Now, you may not agree with Stephanie White's coaching style. God knows, I certainly don't. And I have stated that, okay? I do not like her coaching style. Do I think that there have been some differences between her and Caitlyn Clark? I absolutely do. But you know something? I watched the two of them on the sidelines, and it appears that they work through those things just like adults do. All right? You might not like Kathy Crosskoff, and I certainly don't think that she made all of the right moves in the offseason. Nope. And in fact, Kathy Crosskoff only gave all of these people that came into this team 1-year deals for a reason. And I think we will see some movement in the Indiana Fever in the offseason. And that includes Stephanie White. She's on a 1-year contract. Sophie Cunningham, Natasha Howard, Sydney Colson. All of these people that came in were in here on a 1-year deal. We will see just exactly who comes back. But I will tell you this. I would hope Sophie Cunningham is one of those people. And I would hope they would give her more than just a 1-year contract this time around. She is still young. She is a person who enjoys playing in Indiana. She considers the fan base the greatest fan she's ever played in front of. And she's a Midwestern girl. Let's bring her in to the fold for a couple years. All right. She is Caitlyn Clark's enforcer. And she is Caitlyn Clark's support system, someone who's not afraid to speak out. And that will help Caitlyn Clark in the long term. So I would certainly love to see Sophie Cunningham back on the court in an Indiana Fever uniform after the season is over. But in the meantime, folks, let me say this again. Nobody is covering up for any injury that is earth-shattering. Nobody is lying about Caitlyn Clark's status. The Indiana Fever's postseason rests on the shoulders of Caitlyn Clark. And you know what? Sophie Cunningham also stated that that is a lot of pressure for someone who is just 23 years old. But Caitlyn Clark is resilient. And it's like she has said, she relishes the opportunity and she does not take any of what she's been given for granted. There are people who would love to be in her position. So my suggestion to you is, instead of trying to tell Caitlyn Clark that she should just give it up and sit it out, why don't we just get in on the bandwagon, folks, okay? This is what you do as fans, actually. Caitlyn Clark is rehabbing from an injury. She wants to come back this year. She does not want to sit out until next year. So if she can at all make it back without causing herself any long-term injury, she is coming back for the playoffs. And I certainly do hope the latest projection of August 26th is the right one. Get on the bandwagon, folks. You know, being positive is so much more enjoyable than being negative. I will talk to you all later because we are going to talk about Caitlyn Clark and the influence she has been on youngsters all around this country, mostly in Indiana, but just about everywhere she goes. And that's another reason, by the way, that Caitlyn Clark is to be admired. And there will be, by the way, aside from all of the articles I've talked about here, they will be in the description of this video. There will also be a little clip about Caitlyn Clark talking about just that. So I will be back again. We will be talking about all these young girls who are now springing up in basketball teams across the country, and also maybe showing you some clips of Caitlyn Clark in high school. That will either be tonight or it will be tomorrow, but it's coming. And again, I hope you guys have a great night if I don't see you again, but I will definitely be here tomorrow if I don't see you tonight. Have a great night.